So there's an independent poll that has been conducted today. That poll has been conducted by IPSOS Synovate in the country on touching, of course, on the IEBC protests that have been carried out by CORD in the last couple of days. It has been a process, remember. CORD has been calling for IEBC reforms. They have called for a dialogue. At some point, there was talk of conversation, negotiation between the CORD leadership and, of course, the executive. That has been refuted in the last past few days. So IPSOS focused on the protest. How many people know what is going on and how many approve? So the first question they asked, if do you think voters have enough confidence in IEBC to manage the next general election? 41% of those polled think they have enough confidence on IEBC to manage the next general election. 41%. So in other words, 59% have no confidence in the IEBC and its mandate and indeed its ability to manage the next general election. So Central Kenya at 58%, Coast at 29%, Eastern at 39%. Of course, looking at the numbers that have been released by IPSOS Synovate, looking at the protests that have been going on in the country in the last couple of days. So there we go. Nairobi 38%, Northeastern 36%, Nyanza 28%, and Rift Valley 56%. Western stands at 19% of those polls. Let's move on to the next board as we focus on that poll that has been released by IPSOS Synovate. So what is the main change that should happen to increase confidence in the IEBC? What exactly would Kenyans want to see change in the IEBC? Remember, there have been calls on IEBC reforms. That those who are saying the commissioners need to go home, that those who are opposed to electronic voter registration. So they're all manner of things. So replacement of commissioners. Remember, this has been the rallying call by ODM leaders, the replacement of commissioners, which of course Jubilee has maintained that it has to be within the constitution. So 71% say replacement of commissioners, that should happen for them to have confidence in the IEBC. Convictions in court of corrupt IEBC officials, 12% say if that happens, then they will have confidence in the IEBC. Remember, there have been talk of the integrity of IEBC commissioners and looking at quote-unquote chicken gate allegations that have been out there in the press. So there are those who say party representatives should be among the commissioners. The Chepkonga-led team has actually touched a little bit on this, and they're giving proposals to have actually party representatives among the commissioners that will serve in IEBC. So elimination of technology, 3% say if you eliminate technology, then we will have more confidence in IEBC. Verification of single voter registration, just 1% say if that happens, then they will have confidence in IEBC. Let's look now at reactions to opposition-led demonstrations. Okay, before we get to the reactions, let's look at some of the changes, other changes that Kenyans want. Presence of more international observers, 1%. Other suggestions, 2%. The ones who don't know have no idea, 5%. Okay, so let's look at the reaction to opposition-led demonstrations that have been going on for a couple of weeks now. People have lost their lives, property has been destroyed in the demonstrations. So awareness of the opposition-led demonstrations, 75% of Kenyans are aware of this demonstration that have been led by CORD leaders calling for reforms in the IEBC. Central, 79%. Eastern, 76%. So let's move to the next board. So in other words, Kenyans are aware that these demonstrations are going on. Nairobi, 87%. That's the highest percentage you're witnessing, of course, after Western at 79%. So those are the numbers that have been released by IPSOS Synovate in the last couple of hours. So the percentage of those in support of the demonstrations and the protests by opposition over IEBC, that number stands at 30%. So 30% are in support of the demonstrations and protests by opposition, which means 70%. 70 do not support this particular demonstration. So, of course, Interior CS Joseph Kaiseri has spoken about it this evening and prohibiting all protests, unlawful protests in the country. Let's see how this goes. CORD, of course, has rebuffed that, saying this is a right that is guaranteed by the Constitution. Let's see how this goes in the coming days. So let's